All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving headfirst into one of the weirdest, most unsettling stories you'll ever read. Franz Kafka's The Metamorphosis. And trust me, this is a story that kicks off with a totally wild premise, and then just keeps getting stranger.
And boom, there it is, right from the get-go. No build-up, no explanation, nothing. Just that. It's one of the most famous opening lines in literary history for a reason, right? In one sentence, Kafka just yanks us, and poor Gregor, into this world that's completely absurd, totally surreal, and somehow horribly real.
So you'd think the first thing on his mind would be, oh my God, I'm a giant bug, right? Nope. His reality is, he's a monstrous insect. But his immediate concern? Oh no, what about my job? I'm gonna miss the train. It's this incredible dark humor that really sets the tone for the whole thing. You've got this grotesque nightmare situation, clashing with these totally normal human worries.
Okay, so let's get into it. Part 1, a monstrous transformation. This is all about that initial shock, right? As this unbelievable thing becomes his new reality, and he's just trying to hold on to any piece of his old life.
I mean, this detail is just mind-blowing. Think about it. His entire sense of self is so tied up in his duties, his job as a traveling salesman, being the one who supports his family, that even turning into a giant bug doesn't snap him out of it. It's like his human brain, with all its stress and to-do lists, is literally trapped inside this alien shell.
And this right here, it just paints such a vivid picture of how helpless he is. You can just imagine it. His family, his boss, they're all outside his door, getting more and more annoyed. And he can't even do something as simple as get up. He wants to use his arms and hands, but they're gone. Instead, he's got all these little legs just flailing around. His new body has just become this physical barrier, the first real wall between him and everyone else. And believe me, that wall is about to get a whole lot higher.
Which leads us right into the next phase, being trapped and isolated. Because when that bedroom door finally does open, he finds out his room isn't the real prison. No, the real prison is how his own family reacts to him.
And this really gets to the heart of the story. This idea of alienation. It's so much more than just, hey, he looks weird now. The real horror is that everything happening inside him, all that confusion, all that fear, is totally locked away. He can't make anyone understand. He can't tell them he's still in there. And maybe the most heartbreaking part, he can't express his love for them. He's just completely cut off. And that's what's so crushing. On their side, you have pure horror. They're literally chasing him back into his room with a stick. But on his side, he's still thinking about them with deep emotion and love. He's still Gregor, their son and brother. He's still filled with all this affection for them. The tragedy is just, they can't see past the shell anymore.
Okay, but here's where things get even weirder, if you can believe it. Gregor doesn't just lie there and suffer. He actually starts adapting. He starts to figure out a new way to exist, even in this nightmare body.
So his human brain is still rattling around in there, right? But his insect body has its own agenda. Suddenly, he prefers spoiled, gross food. He finds it comforting to hide in the dark under the couch. And that clear line between Gregor the person and Gregor the bug, it just starts to get really, really blurry. It raises this huge question. Who is he now? Or maybe, what is he now?
He even discovers these weird new perks, like he finds this bizarre sense of freedom, even joy, in scurrying up the walls and across the ceiling. It's remarkable. And it's a really powerful metaphor, isn't it? It shows how people can adapt to almost anything. We find ways to make a new normal, no matter how strange it is.
And this is where the story takes a truly dark turn. This is the ultimate betrayal. Just as Gregor is kind of finding his footing in his new life, his family is hitting a wall. The money's running out, their patience is gone, and all that early sympathy has soured into pure resentment. And that resentment, it's about to get physical.
Suddenly, Gregor isn't the son who provided for them anymore. He's just the problem. He's the source of all their hardship, this shameful secret they have to keep locked away. And the first person to turn that emotional disgust into actual violence is his own father, the very person he worked so hard to impress.
So the thing that really marks the final break, it isn't something they say. It isn't a door being slammed. It's an object. A totally normal, everyday object turned into a weapon out of pure frustration.
It was an apple. Not an apple to eat, an apple to throw.
And this is it. This is the point of no return. One of those apples actually gets lodged in his back, piercing his shell, and it stays there. It's not just a physical injury. It's this constant, festering reminder of how his own father rejected him. It's a wound to his body, yeah, but it's a fatal wound to his soul.
And then, the final nail in the coffin. It comes from his sister, Greta, the one who cared for him the most at the beginning. Listen to her words. We have to try to get rid of it. Not him, not Gregor. It. He's no longer a person to her. He's just a thing, a problem they need to solve. At that moment, his dehumanization is absolutely complete.
So that brings us to the end, part 5, Death and a New Dawn. Because as Gregor's story comes to its inevitable, tragic close, he's wounded, he's starving, he's just emotionally shattered. For his family, it's actually the exact opposite. For them, it's a new beginning.
I mean, just look at this breakdown. It's brutal. On one side, you've got Gregor, dying all alone, neglected, and yet his last thoughts are of them, full of love. And on the other side, the family. Their reaction to his death isn't sadness, it's relief. A huge weight has been lifted. They're already talking about their future, a future that is suddenly bright because he's not in it.
And that's the absolute core of the tragedy, isn't it? After everything they did to him, the neglect, the violence, the apple in his back, his final act is to think of them with affection and love. His humanity, his ability to love, was there right up until the very end. It's a humanity that they just couldn't see anymore. Or maybe they just chose not.
So why do we still talk about this story? Why does it stick with us? Because his death isn't just an ending. For them, it's a liberation. And that taps into a fear I think we all have deep down. The fear of becoming a burden. The fear that if we stop being useful to the people we love, will they stop loving us? Which brings us to probably the most important question in the whole book. Near the end, his sister is playing the violin, and Gregor, the bug, is absolutely captivated by the music. It moves him so deeply. And he wonders, was he an animal? If music could still touch him like that? It's proof, right? That despite the monstrous body, his soul, his humanity was still in there.
And that's the big question Kafka just leaves hanging in the air for us to deal with. If our humanity isn't defined by our physical body, and it isn't defined by how other people see us, then what is it? What makes us human? There's no easy answer. And that's exactly why, more than 100 years later, this bizarre story about a man turning into a bug still gets under our skin. It forces us to ask that question about ourselves.